Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another 2024 election prediction. This one is between Kamala Harris. I'm sorry, not 2024 election prediction. This one is the 2024 Democratic primary between Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders, which would be a very interesting race because Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States, and Bernie Sanders is a very progressive and very popular U.S. Senator from the state of Vermont. And this one would be very interesting because this is if Biden steps down. And, as we know, Biden is very unpopular, but Harris is even more unpopular. So let's see how a very unpopular vice president does against a very popular progressive senator. And Bernie Sanders, I believe, is still the most popular U.S. senator as of right now. And it's going to be very interesting because there are going to be a lot of Biden voters who will stick to Harris just because she is the vice president. But there also will be a lot of Democrats who are unhappy with Biden and will rather side with Bernie because Harris will be treated as the incumbent. We have to remember that. She will be treated as the incumbent, as the Biden, as if he was running for re-election. So let's get started. So the Iowa caucus is first. And really, I think that we need to take 2016 into 2016 into account most, because in 2020 there was so much vote splitting on the progressive and moderate factions, but in 2016 it was mostly just Clinton versus Bernie. All right, we have to remember that Bernie ran in 2016, and it was a very close race here. I mean, it was decided by percentage points. It was a tilt Hillary Clinton did win this state by a tilt margin, but and so you might say that Harris would also carry this state because she and Clinton are very similar when it comes to policy as well, but and I think that Kamala Harris would be able to win the state of Iowa. But what we especially have to take into account is that Martin O'Malley was in the race in 2016, and he was more of a moderate, more of a centrist choice for the Democratic Party. And what happened with Martin O'Malley is that he took, the Martin O'Malley voters, they sided with Hillary after he dropped out, right? Because, she was more the moderate choice rather than the radical Bernie. So I do think that Kamala Harris would win the Iowa caucus. But going up to New Hampshire, I definitely think that this is Sanders' territory, saying that he won in 2016 against Hillary. And then in 2020, again, when Pete Buttigieg was, rising so fast, he was still able to win. Going to Nevada, Hillary won Nevada in 2016, but Bernie actually won it in 2020, which is pretty interesting. He did better here. But one-on-one, I think that Kamala Harris will be very friendly with the Latino population. What we have to remember is the culinary union. How, Bernie wanted to take away, wanted universal health care, which would take away their union health care, and that's very unpopular here. And it showed that in a split race with many candidates, that didn't prove much. But in a one-on-one race, 2016 shows that more of the established Democrat will carry this in Nevada. Going down to South Carolina, this will be strong Harris territory, as Biden won it in 2016 and Hillary won in 2012. Now, let's get into the rest of the states. So this will influence it, and as of right now, Kamala Harris does have the edge. But, let's go to Bernie territory. Vermont is definitely going to be a Bernie state. A progressive state like Maine, definitely for Bernie. Massachusetts for Bernie. Rhode Island, which went to him in 2016, will go to Bernie Sanders. And then, the Midwest with a very progressive Democrats here. This will all be Bernie territory over here, but Kamala Harris, she's going to win her home state, but really Kamala Harris's base is going to be the South. She will turn out African Americans. I do think that she would carry the state of Texas. She's just, she will have this African American vote strongly on her side, and Biden winning South Carolina, he was friendly with the African American population, and he carried the entire South. I think that Harris would be able to do the same, and this really is her base. And then Latino voters in states like New Mexico and Arizona, where Biden won big in 2020. These are two states that are going to go to her. But let's going over to Oregon, Alaska, and Hawaii. Three very progressive states with the young progressives. 1 second. All right, sorry about that. Sorry, there was just a loud car. But anyway, moving on. We're going to Connecticut, and this is more of a Democratic establishment state. I think that Harris would have the edge here. And New York really will be tough. I think that this will be a very close state. But I mean, with Hillary Clinton's establishment kind of support here and her support for Harris, I think that Harris might just narrowly have the edge in the state of New York. I mean, this was Biden territory, as many states were in 2020. Kamala Harris will win Biden's home state, Delaware, and then more establishment states like Maryland and really Virginia. I think that she would do pretty well in. But Bernie, I believe, would once again carry every single county in the state of West Virginia. Going and then in DC, this would go to her also. But states like New Jersey, I think that Bernie will have that progressive edge here. And in Washington, he's going to do well here. In Minnesota, he's going to do well. In Indiana, he's going to do well. And in Ohio, this is a state that I believe he won in 2016. It's definitely a close race. Hillary might have won it, but I think that Bernie did win in 2016. I think that he would once again turn out the suburbs. And then in the blue wall, I think that Bernie would once again do very well here. He has his past shows that he has done well here, and he will turn out the white working class Democrats here. But in Illinois, this will probably be Harris territory. Just because there is a high African American population, especially in the cities, and those will likely turn out for Harris rather than Bernie. So Kamala Harris does win, carrying most of the southern regions of the United States and some northern states, and then Bernie Sanders really does well in the Midwest and the Rust Belt and those areas. So